This is my 2000 Lexus SC300. I've had it since April 2017, and that makes it exactly 3 years. And I can hands down say it is the best purchase I have ever made. It is primarily a really fun car with a beautiful interior and a beautiful exterior, and it's really understated and classic. And even though this specific car is a 2000 and it's 20 years old at this point, there are cars that are from 1992, and those cars are 28 years old, and it's very timeless. The styling has honestly not changed as much as you might expect. My car, however, has been customized quite a bit. Over the years, I have done mostly aesthetic and exterior mods, and I haven't really done much under the hood. My car is an SC300, which means it came with the naturally aspirated 2JZ GE engine that is usually confused with the Supra's engine. The Supra has a twin-turbo inline-6 2JZ GTE engine. Mine has the same exact engine, but without the turbos, so it's naturally aspirated. This car made 225 horsepower from the factory. I'm assuming that was rated at the crank. And I have a few mods like an open exhaust and an intake, and that's honestly about it. And so it probably makes 210 horsepower. It doesn't make a lot. It's not a very fast car. However, I love this car so much because of all the questions I get as to what it is. So in Japan, in 1989, Lexus, being Toyota's luxury brand, released their first car, the Lexus Ls400, which at the time was meant to compete with the Mercedes S600 and the BMW 7 Series. It was essentially a luxury limousine, a short limousine, however, but it was created to compete with those cars. However, seeing that BMW and Mercedes had these Grand Tourer coupes, Lexus decided to design a Grand Tourer along the same lines. In 1992, Lexus released their 1UZ FE, their 4.0 liter V8, same exact engine that was in the LS400. They put it in this car, and they made it an SC400. It made the same 250 or so horsepower from the factory in 1992. Didn't have variable valve timing. Didn't really have anything else. It was just a good-looking car that people wanted more and more. I don't remember the exact MSRP that the car was when it was released in 1992, but in 1993, Lexus, upon releasing the Toyota Supra, decided to put the 2JZ GE naturally aspirated motor in this car. So many people look at this car and say it's a poor man's Supra or a rich man's Supra, or whatever you want to think of. It's a gentleman's Supra, honestly, in my opinion. It is a very understated, non-flashy car, if you do the correct mods, that is. Correct as in, if you don't overstate it, if you don't go ricey. It has the same underpinnings of the Toyota Supra. This car is actually what the Toyota Supra was based off of, because this was designed before the Toyota Supra was. The Toyota Supra is just a more powerful version of this same car. In Japan, this car was released as a Toyota Soarer, S-O-A-R-E-R, and those badges, being the front Griffin badge and the back Toyota badge and the Soarer badge itself, are the ones that I got from Japan. And those are the ones that I choose to run because I get a lot more questions and a lot more looks when people ask me what a Toyota Soarer is, and I just think it's really cool. My parents were like, why would you want to downgrade your car? In my opinion, putting a Toyota badge on a Lexus when it's originally a Toyota is not a downgrade, and it's more an homage to what the car's origin is. In Japan, this came with a 1JZ GTE, which is a 2.5 liter inline-6 twin turbo. The first generation is twin turbo, and they made decent power. They were actually used as police cars in Japan, and that adds so much coolness and value that this car was a police car. But it's such a long body sports car in a sense. It's the Grand Tourer, but it's also a sports car. This car originally came with a 2.5 liter inline-6, a 1JZ GTE, and the Mark IV Supra came with a 2JZ GTE. However, in the States, we only got this as a 2JZ GE and a 1UZ FE. One is a V8 and one is an inline six. Neither of them are supercharged or turbocharged, and they're both naturally aspirated. However, many people decide to turbo their 2JZ GEs, and that is not a 2JZ GTE, because while the block may be the same, the rods and pistons are not the same, and they won't hold as much power as you think. The air intake and the whole piping system and the oil drains and feeds are not the same. They're almost the same, but you would have to get this engine preferably out of the car and properly put all the GTE parts on to make it a GTE. You can't just slap a turbo onto this and make it a GTE. People refer to those in the SC world and the IS300 world as a naturally aspirated turbo, NA-T, NAT. And that's what to do if you're on a budget. And honestly, if I can't find the money for a 1JZ or a 2JZ GTE, that's probably what I'll end up doing. This car is a 2000, and there's a difference between 1992 to 1997 and 1997 to 2000. 1992 is non-variable valve timing, and that existed all the way until 1997. It was more or less the same block. It had thicker rods and could hold more power, and those can technically be made GTE without much conversion. 1998 to 2000, they had a variable valve timing version. However, since they wanted to make more power and increase the efficiency by decreasing the mass that the engine had to push, they made the rods thinner, which makes them weaker under boost. And that's the engine that I have. That's why I would prefer to go with a swap. 1992 to 1996, it had the old body style, which essentially means that it didn't have this flaring. These lights were actually cornering lights and not fog lights. The entire front bumper and rear bumper were different. It didn't really have side skirts. It was more sloped inward. And the wing that it came with, some cars came with, was more of a ducktail than like a spoiler. Mine has a air pass through under the spoiler, and the pre-facelift did not have that. It's funny because 1992 to 1997 there was one engine configuration, and then 98 to 2000 there was one engine configuration. However, the body kit style changed in 1997, which makes the 1997 pre-VVTi engines stock cars very valuable. This car also came in a manual before the variable valve timing was introduced. 92 through 97 they had cars that came in manual options. 98 through 2000 they did not come in manual options. However, it's fairly easy to swap the manual in. I don't know why Lexus decided to not. But those cars that are in 1997 that have the facelifted body kit from Toyota, as well as the pre-variable valve timing engine and the manual, are among the highest valued SCs in the SC community. There is one specific color that people usually look for. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's called RS. I don't know what it stands for, but it's called RSP. It's like this dark blue, violet, purple that really stands out. And I'll put a picture of it here, but it's such a beautiful color and it's very sought after. And 97 RSP manual SC300 is very hard to find. So let's take a look at some of the exterior mods I have on this car. So coming around the front, we have these custom front headlights that I made myself a little bit ago. I'll try to put a video on it, on how I made it. There's a company that makes it for SCs called OG Status, Original Garage Status, I think. But those cost like $1,500, $2,000, and a stock pair of good front headlights for SCs cost like $100. And the two pieces of LEDs that are required to make this are $80 each, so that comes out to around total of $46, plus the rubber needed to reseal the headlight, and I don't think it's worth $2,000. So yeah, I made them myself, and I think they look pretty good. When you turn on the turn signals, the front strip illuminates orange, but the halo does not, because I made it that way because I wanted the halo to stay on regardless. In the front, I have a Fujin style Japanese lip, and it's basically, it makes it a bit aggressive. It brings the lower part of the bumper in a bit, because otherwise the bumper is kind of incurving, and whereas it is more aggressive than the pre-97 bumper, it's still not as aggressive contemporarily because of how aggressive cars are nowadays. Stock SCs also came with reflectors for their fogs, and I didn't really like it because it didn't have good light output, so I went with these auto extrude 3D printed light housings with projectors from Morimoto. And a lot of this stuff is Morimoto. My headlights are Morimoto, the strips are Morimoto, the halos are Morimoto, and my fogs are Morimoto, because they're a good headlight company and they're really reliable, and they have high temp ratings and they don't burn out very easily. LEDs shouldn't burn out very easily. So the entirety of the car I have converted to LEDs. The high beams are aux beam F16s, which I really like because, I mean, I've positioned them so they don't blind people too much, but then again, they are high beams, they're meant to blind people. Over here on the side, I have Vordoven's Form 10s, I think. They're essentially TE37 style wheels. The exact specs of the wheels are 18 by 9.5 plus 22 all the way around. It's a square, and it fits really well. The fitment's perfect. There's no spacers, no anything required, and over here you can see that the fitment's like flush with the fender. I do have my fenders rolled, which makes this easier, but then again, it's not that bad without. This is static. I'm on BC Racing BR series coilovers, and I think I've dropped about 3 inches or so. I don't know exactly. In the front, I have Ls400 big brake kit. It's essentially the cheaper alternative than like Brembos or Willwoods, and I have slotted, vented, and drilled brake rotors, along with a carbon ceramic pad on my Ls400 BB case. I painted them a duplicolor purple red, which I really like. I have Vordoven's extended lug nuts, purple, and I think they really complement the car. Going around the side, I do have wind deflectors for the windows, front windows. I think that adds a little bit of VIP style to it. What else do I do have this Megan Racing upper roof spoiler, and it's actually carbon fiber, but it's paint matched to match the color, because I don't think carbon fiber looks that good on an old 90s car. Maybe it does on new BMWs and stuff, but I think it looks better in the original color and really becomes seamless like it was originally intended and came from the manufacturer, and it just blends in really well. Around the back, I have a Tanabe Medallion touring exhaust, and it sounds really good. And this is, I do have my stock resonators deleted, and I have one vibrant resonator instead, because that reduces the drone, but it still makes it more throaty and loud when I really want it to be. I have a rear camera, and here you can see that I have changed my badges to Toyota Soarer badges, and I really like the way they look. My left light does have some condensation in it, and I do want to remove that. I polished it, I fully sealed it, however it looks like I've sealed the water in now, so I have to find a way to remove the water. But otherwise it looks really good. I have the rear quarter windows and the back window and the sunroof tinted to a 5%. My front windows are tinted to 35%, and my front windshield is tinted to a 75%. So since cops typically look for the contrast value, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but when looking at my car, you can see me in the front windshield, you can see me in the side windows, and upon contrast with the back windows, it looks like the side windows aren't really that tinted. So I haven't really been pulled over for this yet, and I don't want to be. And I think that sums up pretty much what I have as far as exterior goes. And that's all that I have for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to make a quick video about the Soarer, my Soarer, and the history of it and the origins of it. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, so this coronavirus thing seems to have really motivated me to start this channel finally. I have more stuff, but I think I'm gonna save it for another video. So thanks for tuning in. If you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. Subscribe if possible. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.